T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, this is our turkey happy Thanksgiving to one and all from Sports and Other Stuff here at the Radio Ranch. Let's get started with our program this week. Indiana misses it by that much. We'll talk about NFL Week 11. And guys, the Joe Burrow fan club must suspend activity. He's done. And don't look now, but the Browns are 7-3. And who is that P.J. Walker guy? So let's start with Indiana. It was one for the ages. Number 9 ranked Indiana taking on Goliath. Number 3 Ohio State. Down to the final gun. Ohio State ekes it out 42-35. Two things to start this conversation, men. 1, Ohio State defense ain't that good. And 2, if Indiana could run the ball, they'd be dancing on Walnut Street in Bloomington in front of T-Dog's old apartment where he hosted many a kegger, right? Take it away.
I mean, it didn't look so good. If you were gambling based on what the line was, you're feeling pretty good. Ohio State was up 35-7 at one point, but IU was able to claw back and only lose by 7. My main takeaway is I think this game might have cost Justin Fields the Heisman. It's not even that he played bad, but that this game was close, that he had 3 turnovers, and also on this day, he was not the better quarterback. Michael Penix was the better quarterback.
Right on.
Even though, to be fair, I still think maybe Justin Fields legitimately is a better quarterback. I just think the pass rush of Indiana was better than Ohio State, which is weird to say. It's very bizarre to say, but
I got to say, Penix had the best third quarter of any college quarterback I've seen in recent years. I mean, and he and what's his name? I was going to say Foghorn, Leghorn, whatever it is.
That guy.
The guy can't really run fast, but you know what? 50-50, it's 60-40 with that guy. I mean, they managed it, and that was cool. And I got to say, I was shocked at how fast the defense of Indiana is. Overall, they were fast, man. I mean, they stopped a massive offensive grouping once they got their legs under them. I think they were a little overwhelmed by where they were. But once they got their legs under them in the second half, man, they held them and made Justin Fields look goofy on a couple of plays.
Yep, I think you're right.
I think some other factors in the game, to be fair, J-Boy was kind of pointing out, I will give credit to Ohio State definitely on this. They ran for 307 yards to Indiana's -1.
Yikes.
Hey, it's the modern era. You don't need to run the ball, baby. If you can swing that field, you can win. I mean,
run the ball.
And
the other thing I'll give credit is this is the first game IU lost the turnover battle. They lost the turnover battle 4-3. And also when Ohio State was able to turn the ball over, they made points out of it. Because the big difference is that Shaun Wade interception pick 6. I mean, if you look at it. So
So if we fast forward, guys, Ohio State's not a Final Four team. I mean, they're gonna get boat raced.
I think they are a top 4 team, but to be fair to your point, are they probably going to beat Alabama? No, I don't think so.
Whoa, Alabama, was that a beat down? My goodness!
Did you get the name of that car?
I mean, it was just sad to watch.
And again, to be fair to UK, UK has talent, but it's just Alabama's Alabama. I mean, congrats to Devontae Smith setting the SEC record for touchdown receptions, which he beat Amari Cooper, another Alabamian. from like 5 or 6 years ago. He broke his record.
Right.
And to be kind of fair to Lug's point, just how deep they are, their backup running back had 99 yards rushing and a touchdown off 10 carries.
Oh, yeah.
The worst defeat in Stoops' time, right? Stoops' time, I think it was the worst.
Well, and it just points out again, Kentucky's got absolutely no offense. It's just crazy to me.
And again, I have nothing personally against this guy. Lugs pointed out this great name to us a year ago. But for having a cool name like Cavassier Smoke, you better be better than what you're putting out there on the field statistically. That's all I have to say. That's an all-time name.
And to complete the triumvirate, U of L finally wins a game against a team that was the most woebegone group of individuals I've ever seen fielded on college team. How is I've forgotten the coach's name? How is he still there? I mean, he had a monster.
Oh, Dino Babers.
I mean, he was talked about it coming to U of L right before Satterfield. And
yeah, it was really weird. It shows you how quickly things turn. They beat Clemson like 4 or 5 years ago. It feels like.
Yeah.
And it felt like Dino Babers. He's got Syracuse on the rise.
Yeah.
And nope, no, he's not.
And speaking of Clemson, Dabo, man, saying FSU used the whole COVID thing to duck playing Clemson. Now that's funny stuff right there.
Dabo says what Dabo does, right?
He's the bass of football coaches, man. All he wants is his uniform. So,
you know what though? That's what you want. You want coaches to like be kind of outside out of normal size, like personalities. You want him to be larger than life.
Well, but he's not. You ever see his hat? It doesn't fit his head. It's too big.
I know. I mean,
he's like a caricature that fell out of a cartoon.
Yeah. He's got that tiny head, but the big mouth. Oh. I got to give it to him, though. I mean,
give him all he gets. Yeah. $9 million a year. Yeah, whatever. Give it to him.
Yeah. I guess going back to U of L.
Yeah. First shout out since like 2014, I think, or something like that.
Was I kind of looked at the numbers from the 2 years, like in terms of like yards rushing per game and passing per game, it's not like a huge disparity in terms of yards from the line of scrimmage per game. Here's the big difference. In 2019, at the end of the season, they had a -1 turnover rate. Currently, with 2 games ago, they have a -12.
Yeah. Oh, I put it on the ground or in the opposing team's hands very, very often. I looked at some of the numbers. They were like the number 9 offense in the nation. Now, think about this. And their defense is like bottom. It's not that bad. It's like in the 30s. They just can't keep the ball out of the opposing team's hands.
Strange.
That's the thing is like I guess what we're trying to say for U of L fans to be optimistic. I think I see this. I mean, to be -12 in turnover ratio is absurd. Like it really will never be that bad. Like it's just a bad year. I think they'll bounce back next year. I really do. Now, will Malik Cunningham be their quarterback? I mean, I don't know. I think he's part of the problem. I'm putting it all on him.
It's a weird year for everybody, though, really.
Malik typifies them in that he will have these monster runs or throw a great pass.
Yep.
And then he'll have this short run where they jar the ball loose, or then he'll just throw a ball that's like, who are you throwing to? You know, it's one of those, it's feast and famine with him, I would say.
Yeah. And also Hawkins leaving, that doesn't help him at all. I mean, I don't blame Hawkins for leaving. I mean, he's like, well, this year's a wash anyway. I'm just opting out.
I'm out of here.
But speaking of turnovers. One of the other big games from Saturday, Northwestern versus Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
The battle for the Big Ten West.
Yep. Surprise.
That game was won or lost because the guy who was this great hope for Wisconsin. He turned on him. Graham Mertz. He had 4 turnovers. And what was it? Just an ugly game, 17-7. It really just came down to him not being able to keep the ball out of Northwestern's hands. So
yeah.
And now Northwestern is ranked,
right?
And they're not only ranked, I believe they're 11th.
Yeah.
And they'll face Ohio State in the big game, right? And the championship of the Big Ten.
Again, back to Jay Boy's point. So bizarre.
It's a strange time. All right, you want to move on? Go ahead, Lugs.
Well, I was just going to ask one quick Indiana question.
Yeah.
So where do they end up in bowl games? You think they'll be on a New Year's Day 6, one of the major bowls, Citrus Bowl or whatever?
You know what? I will say this. I will say no just because of this. Again, obviously they've had a good year this year, but they still aren't a name recognition for football. That's the main thing. They don't have the name recognition cachet for football.
And they don't draw a TV audience either, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, J-Boy's
But Penix, his exploits, I think, excite people. I think they'll do better than what most people think. And I think Tom Allen will be there a while. I think Tom Allen's an Indiana guy.
Agree. He's fun to listen to, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he just straight up
gets excited.
Yeah.
And also the other good thing with Penix is this upcoming crop for the NFL draft. There's so many great quarterbacks coming. It'd be a bad idea for him to come out because there's at least 4 guys that will go before him. I feel confident in saying that. So,
and he's a southpaw anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't play well.
I mean, you've only had 2
Kenny Stabler.
Yeah.
Tua, but I guess Tua didn't play well, so maybe that leads into your point.
Transitions into NFL.
Yeah.
Kenny the Snake, Stabler, and Bobby Douglas. I'll throw that one in there for good measure.
Whoa.
Go back to the 70s.
Yeah. Talk about your quarterback failures.
All right. Should we start with that NFL now? So here's this story I want to tell you. You picked Joe Burrow, but you don't have an offensive line. He blows out his knee. He's gone for the year. That's really sad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly, that he got injured because, I mean, he was kind of like I liken this season to Tim Couch at Cleveland.
Yep.
Just decimated over and over, people hitting him.
Shortened his career.
Ended it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So, it's sad. And I mean, the last report I saw was ACL, MCL, and knee structural damage.
Long time.
That's a mess. I mean, I don't know how, of course, Alex Smith came back from just a crazy, crazy injury. So I guess it depends.
Luckily, it's not as bad as that one. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not great, but it's not as bad as that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure about it. It sucks. I mean, to be fair, to kind of echo what you all said, you kind of felt it was going to happen because it's one thing that their line's so bad. It's also just if you look at how many pass attempts he had a game, and I know they were trying to win games, but it's like at some point you got to manage. You got to try to run, even if you're not going to have a lot of success doing it. You can't keep putting him back there behind that line,
right?
Because it's just just that percentage. I mean, if he's dropping back to pass like 45 times a game.
Hey, look, he's passing.
Yeah,
let's go.
And I didn't get to watch this game this week, but I mean, watching the Steelers game last week, like he got the hell beat out of him, and he's such a competitor. I mean, he should have came out late in that game because that game was over.
Right.
But he doesn't want to, and that's just his whole mentality. He's going to stand in the pocket, and hopefully, I guess look at this optimistically. Hopefully, he's smart about just getting rid of the ball quicker, like understanding at times you need to maybe stand in there and make the play, but sometimes you got to live for another day.
Yeah.
Like you can't